Okay, it is Friday night and 9 o'clock and we are going to learn another stitch. Tonight we are going to do an extension of a stitch that we've already learned on a previous video. It was not part of our Road to 100 on 100 Fridays, but there is a video on the page called the moss stitch. I was asked to teach the moss stitch a while back, just in a private message, and so I did a video on it to teach it. And so tonight we are going to use the moss stitch and do a version of it called the extended moss stitch. A lot of these stitches that we're learning can be interpreted into other variations, and so that's what we're going to do tonight. To start out on the moss stitch, if you'll remember, we do an even number on our chain. So here I have chained 20, and then I have turned and chained 1 and single crocheted all the way back for the second row. So to start this stitch, you're going to chain a multiple of 2. Again, if you're following along with me, I did 20. And then you're going to turn, chain 1, and single crochet all the way back for row 2. Then that sets you up to be ready for the moss stitch on row 3. For row 3, we're going to chain 3 and then turn our project. That will count as a double crochet in our next row. We're going to double crochet into the next stitch, which is right here. And remember, when you double crochet, you just yarn over, go into your V's right there, pull through 2, and then pull through 2. We're going to chain 1 and then skip the next V right here and go into this one. We skip a V and double crochet into the next stitch, then pull through 2, pull through 2. Again, chain 1, skipping the next stitch, double crochet into this one. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet into the next one. Now, I'll join you back after we get all the way down the row. Okay, now we've gone to the end of the row, doing our double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1. We're down to the last one, so you're going to chain 1, and then you're ready to put a skip 1 and double crochet into this one. You're going to notice that you have 2 stitches left. I just want you to put a regular double crochet into that one as well. So just double crochet into that end stitch, and then you're ready to turn. When you turn, we're just going to chain 1, and that sets us up for the next row. Now, looking back at this, you have the 2 doubles here that match the 2 doubles here, and this should look a little familiar. This is what the moss stitch looked like in the previous video when I taught the moss stitch, but if you'll notice, this is a little bit different. The difference between the moss stitch that we learned back in August on that video is that it is an alternation between chaining and single crocheting. The extended moss stitch that we're learning tonight is an alteration between chaining and double crocheting. So that's the difference. It's still the moss stitch, but we're double crocheting instead of single crocheting. So we're ready to start. We have 2 stitches here. I just want you to put a half double crochet into each of those stitches. So that's where you yarn over, and instead of pulling through 2 and pulling through 2, you're just going to pull through all 3 that are on your hoop. And again, into the top of this double crochet, another half double crochet. Now you're ready for this skip chain that we did. So you're going to not go in here, but if you'll notice, the V from the previous row is still down here. That's the V stitch that I want you to go in. So we're going to do an elongated double crochet into that stitch there. Make sure when you pull your loop through that you pull up enough tension that it's even with the row up here that you're working on, and then just like a regular double crochet, pull through 2, pull through 2. We are going, let's get it slid back over, because that is one of those things that can happen, is it comes out of alignment and you don't want to mess that up. We're not going to go into this double crochet. We're just going to chain 1 and skip the double crochet. So we're going to elongate into this one right here. So go down, go into that V there, pull it all the way up, and do a regular double crochet. That leaves a hole there for that next row. Now you're going to chain 1 again, skip that double crochet, do an elongated double crochet into the next stitch. Make sure to pull it up even where you're at. Pull through 2, pull through 2. So it's going to look just like the previous row with a hole in every one, but now you're doing that elongated stitch into here. And it's an elongated double crochet instead of like the original moss stitch where it was an elongated single crochet. So go ahead and finish this row out and we'll join back on the next row. Okay, so we have finished out our row. You can see on the first row that we filled in all the holes with those elongated double crochets, and then we've also with our chaining set up the second row to do that on the way back for the next row, so we have those holes that are ready. On the very end you would have had one stitch left and you wouldn't have enough space to do another one, so that's just a half double crochet into that last stitch just like you did over here. So we're ready to turn around. We go ahead and turn, we do our chain 1 and then half double crochet into that first stitch. And you're ready to do your elongated double into the stitch that you left from the previous row. Remember, when you pull through, make sure there's enough tension to come up to the row that you're actually working on, and then chain 1, skipping that double crochet there and going into this elongated double crochet right here from the previous row. If you have a little trouble finding it, just move your stitches around. It's right here. It does get a little bit, not so much messy, but those elongated stitches can kind of get slid over in the way, but you're looking for those V's in between those double crochets. There's one right there, the next one. And don't forget to chain 1 in between all of your elongated doubles. Always do that chain 1 to set up the hole for the next stitch, because whenever you're skipping these doubles, you're chaining 1. So now we'll do a double crochet into this stitch here. Make sure again you're pulling up long enough to be in the row that you're in, because you're doing an elongated stitch, and then because you're skipping this double, you're chaining here. So again, going into that one down there that you skipped. Like I said, if you can't find it and it's kind of doing a little weird crisscross, kind of move your yarn around and it's there. Chain 1, skipping that one. There's that V right there that you're going to go into from the previous row. Pull up the tension, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then chain 1. If you want to take a look back, it's filling in the holes from the second row and then setting up the holes for the next row to come down. Each time you're coming down and going into the next row. So I'm going to finish this row out. I'm going to do about 1 or 2 more rows, and then I'm going to come back and join you, and we'll talk about the density, the yarn I used, and a few little tidbits of info. Okay, so now I've put about 2 or 3 more rows on to my extended moss, so you can kind of see what it's doing, how it's dipping down, and how it's elongated from the moss stitch that we learned. So it's longer because it's the double crochet instead of the single crochet. Also, when I taught the single crochet on the moss stitch, we go into the hole, not necessarily the stitch. On this one, we're going into the stitch. Makes it easier and more connected. But if you'll notice, this is a really like loose, good stitch for a lot of different things. It's not very dense, but it's not open stitch like where you're going to have a lot of holes, but yet it's still movable. So this is a really good, not that the moss stitch is not really good, but this one is a really good stitch for a lot of different patterns. So this is one that I would definitely put in my repertoire. It's one that I would use on several occasions for doing multiple things, as far as getting away from blankets. If you're doing a variety of things. The moss stitch I like to use for scrubbies. I will put the moss stitch at the end of this video, an image of those blue scrubbies from the video where I taught the moss stitch, where you can see how this is a little bit longer and bigger and not as tight as the original moss stitch. One of the other things about this stitch is no matter what side that you're looking at, it's the same on both sides. So there is no front and back. So this is a really good stitch for reversible things. As far as blankets, especially if you're going to embroider something in the blanket, because the front and the back is going to look the exact same. It's not going to change. Scarves would be really good in this pattern. Socks would be really good in this pattern. Even pillows. I mean, the sky's the limit on what you could use for this, because that is very hard to find, a stitch that looks the same on both sides and can't really tell front from back. So that's another tidbit to know about this. I hope lots of you learned from this tonight. I did just use the original Mainstay Walmart brand yarn. I tend to use that one a lot with my videos because that is what a lot of my beginners can get easily. And I know Joann's is gone now, so you may not have a Michael's, you may not even have a Target, I don't know, but well, everybody has a Walmart, so this is just Mainstay Walmart yarn. I did size up tonight and use the I, so I've used size I. If you need the millimeter for that, offhand, I believe it is 6 millimeter, but don't quote me on that. But I did use the I. I normally use the H, sized up 1 for this. Again, I'm going to show you the moss stitch versus this stitch at the end of the video by picture, and so you can compare those two. Let me know in the comments what you made or how you used it, if you liked it or not, and I will see you guys next Friday. Happy crocheting this weekend.